You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office.
How do you know there's no? How do you know there's no action?
But
Really?
don't you worry-
Wait. Who are you with?
I'm with Polish radio.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal? Would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems. And that's what happened. So don't tell me about that.
You gave Vladimir Putin a 2-week deadline to agree to talks with Volodymyr Zelensky. That deadline is now nearly approached. Can you give us any indication of when you will make a decision?
Well, I'm having a conversation with him very shortly, and I'll know pretty much what we're going to be doing. We've taken very strong action, as you know, and in other ways we've taken very strong action. But I'll be speaking to him over the next few days, and we're going to see.
With who, sir?
I'm going to know exactly what's happening.
Who's
Mr.
But
President,
I'm not happy with all the people. You got 7,819 people killed last week. Russian soldiers and Ukraine soldiers, right? Not American soldiers, not soldiers from Poland, but they're human beings, they're souls. They have parents, they wave goodbye to their parents, and their parents never see them again. That's the end of them. Over a stupid war, and I want to see it stopped. Now, we have stopped the money. We send weapons to NATO, they pay full price. We don't, Biden spent $350 billion so stupidly. And it was one of the reasons that this whole thing happened. A big reason this war happened was sitting right in these chairs, this one in particular. So I will tell you that I think we're going to have a good solution. But they're losing soldiers at levels that nobody has seen since the Second World War. This is the worst conflict, and it's just going on and on. It's one's defense, one's offense. The offense moves a little bit, just a little bit. You take a look, they move inches. They're dropping bombs and killing everybody. The whole thing is not since the Second World War has there been anything even close to this. And they're not soldiers from my country. This is my country. But I have a power to end things. That's why I was able to end 7 other wars. And you know that I thought of the 7, they're basically 7. Those were tough wars to end. Much tougher, I thought, than the war with Ukraine and Russia. I thought that Ukraine and Russia have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that would be much easier. I thought that would be in the middle of the pack, maybe one of the easiest. Sometimes you never know with war. War is a very interesting thing. You never know with war. War is complex and dangerous, and what a mess, what a bloody mess. It's going to get done one way or the other. But they have to stop killing all of these souls. They're souls, and we have to stop killing.
Just a follow.
Vladimir Putin has vowed to fight on in Ukraine despite Donald Trump's efforts to organise a peace deal. In a speech in China, the Russian president claimed he's willing to meet Volodymyr Zelensky if Ukraine's leader comes to Moscow. While questions still surround the US position within the conflict, Vladimir Putin remains confident the Trump administration holds the power.
The current administration of the United States, we see also that they've got the will and desire to find this solution. I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, we'll be forced to resolve all our objectives through military means.
Vladimir Putin has vowed to fight on in Ukraine despite Donald Trump's efforts to organise a peace deal. In a speech in China, the Russian president claimed he's willing to meet Volodymyr Zelensky if Ukraine's leader comes to Moscow. While questions still surround the US position within the conflict, Vladimir Putin remains confident the Trump administration holds the power.
The current administration of the United States, we see also that they've got the will and desire to find this solution. I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, we'll be forced to resolve all our objectives through military means.
A White House spokesperson has confirmed Donald Trump will hold a call with Volodymyr Zelensky today. And in Europe, France's Emmanuel Macron will lead a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing tomorrow. The Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in Paris at the moment, adding support for Europe's efforts.